Hey everybody, I'm Suzanne, and in today's video we're going to paint a little low country sunset. Now, I have a student that loves painting low country marshy type scenes. It's kind of her happy place, and I felt like if I'm going to be an instructor on painting something that she loves to do, I better get a couple under my belt, right? So this one's for you, Reeves. This was also an experiment for me. I love playing with color. I love playing with technique and trying different things. So I'm going to take you from start to finish on this particular piece, from going over what the palette that I'm using and some of the fun techniques. I even reworked some of the actual composition, where initially I started off with more than one bird, kind of played with that, changed it, moved it. You'll see. I often do a lot of things on the fly. So stay with me to the end. You'll get to hear the final words on this particular piece. And if you are my subscribers, as always, thank you so much. And if you're not, please consider subscribing. And let's go ahead and jump in to this little low country sunset. Okay, here is our palette for the marsh scene with the egrets. And I'm doing a sunset, so I needed lots of fun colors with lots of purples. So I have, this is Amethyst Parm, Dioxazine Purple, or Dioxazine Violet, excuse me. This is Cobalt Blue. This is Amethyst Deep. This is Cerulean, King's Blue. Then I come over here, I've got Payne's Gray, just a smudge, just like a little smudge of Prussian Blue. I have Raw Umber, Italian Green Umber, Titanium White. Then I have some of the reflective warm light that's going to be in this. I have a couple little patches of the lemon yellow. I have Indian yellow. I have I'll come back to that here in a second. That's Yellow Lake Deep. That is Cad Yellow. This is what was this one? I think that's Rose Madder. And this is, oh goodness, that is the Ash Rose. Okay, so this is what we're gonna start with. And yeah, I'm just gonna kind of block it in today. I am starting really late. It's actually almost 7 o'clock in the evening, but I still have light here in the studio. And I just really was itching to start something new. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I kind of wanna block my birds in first, but it's funny. I feel like I need to go to my cleanest colors, like my cads. So as silly as it may sound, I'm gonna start with my lemon yellow, and I'm gonna put my sun in here. I do have a little bit of charcoal. I just did a kind of a loose sketch of fine charcoal. And I'm just kind of popping in some light, because I'll work around that. Since this is going to be in water. And it's always a little warmer on the edges. So I'm taking the Yellow Lake Deep, and I'm working my way out from this light. And I feel like I kind of have to use it while it, just do what I need to do. I'll work around it later, but I know you're probably thinking, what on earth is this woman doing? But follow me, stay with me. I'm just kind of lightening that, just blending that edge just ever so slightly. Just kind of warming that up. So eventually, I'm trying not to have any impasto paint on this yet. I'm going to suggest that around this little sunny area, and you're probably thinking, since I'm going to have so much other cool colors around it, I felt like I needed to have actually add a little bit of titanium white in there. Yeah. I don't want it to be really impasto. I just don't want it to be. I'm trying to get rid of the little bit of charcoal that's in there. It was probably a mistake to actually draw in the area that I'm wanting to do the sun. So if you're following along, do as I say, not as I do, because that was a mistake. I'm trying to keep it as pure as I can. I'm going to suggest, and I'm just kind of winging it. I really wanted to do the sunset, and I wanted the cool colors like the purples and pinks that you see, and I wanted to incorporate that in the birds. And if you watched one of my videos where I did the egret with all the bright light around it, I'm kind of going in reverse this time. I'm going in with cooler colors this time with egrets. I'm just doing egrets in flight over a marshy sunset. So I don't have any green down on my palette except for so I'm just going to take a little cobalt and a little bit of the cad yellow and make a green on my palette. Sorry you can't see this. I should have it up here so you can see. So I can actually create some room here. There we go. Now you can see a little bit, right? Yeah, sort of. Okay. So I'm making I need this one over here. Just kind of a muddy, just like, remember, low light situation. So I'm just wanting this to be almost like you can't really tell the colors, and I'm just going to suggest that I want that even lighter. And I'm working reverse of the way I usually work. And I'm just going to suggest that this is like just some kind of that wasn't good. Folks, I am going to keep this down because I lost my palette there. Luckily, didn't make a mess, which was amazing. And remember, I am just kind of blocking stuff in today. And I still think I want that bluer and darker. Remember, I'm working with low light situation. I'm going to use a little bit of, so I'll call out the colors that I'm using. Yeah, Payne's Gray is going to help. So I'm just going to suggest that over here, I've got this landmass. And I'm just using a number 2 Rosemary Pointed Brown. It's actually too small, but it was what I was using earlier. I'm just going to use a bigger brush because I'm going to try to get this blocked in before I go home for dinner. And I'm working the substrate that I'm working on today is actually linen. This is a linen, oil primed linen. I'm going to put a little Prussian blue in that, just a tad. Prussian blue and raw umber, because I do want this a little bit darker. And I'm just leaving this, just want it to be, and I'm not going in with detail yet. And see, I want this to be darker than what was in the background. So I'm going to add a little bit more Prussian in there. No detail. Same here. And since I've got to do sky, and I'm not going to do the whole thing obviously at this point, but I'm just wanting to get an idea. It's an idea that I had, and I want to be able to, sometimes you just have these ideas in your head and you've got to get them out. I'm going to add a little bit more green to that, so I'm just going to get a little bit of, there we go. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm going to push up on this. I want this to be bigger. And since this is basically, you know, I have a lot of different marsh pictures in front of me, but I'm just mixing up things. This is an imaginary place. This doesn't even exist except for in my head. Being that I live in East Tennessee, we don't have a lot of coastal marshes here. So I got to go for the stuff that I can find in other places. I'm going to make, since I have the Italian green umber, which is a wonderful color, and you've been hearing a lot of me, I've been using it a lot. I'm going to add a little bit of cad yellow to it, a little bit more cobalt, and then I'm going to take some raw umber. Basically, I'm making a more opaque version of the Italian green umber. And I'm going to suggest that, since our light is over here, our dim light is kind of on this side, it's going to be a little darker on this side. This is not dead center. This is, off center. So I will have it a little bit lighter on one side, and I just want to suggest that this is, I have my bird because I want my birds to show out. So I know that I need to have some what am I trying to say? Contrast. I want the contrast. I'm going to put a little bit of that's a little too, I'm making a color that's a little too much. I'm gonna add this kind of near the sun. So a lot of this, the initial part of this painting, is me actually organizing light and idea all simultaneously. So if I have my light coming from here, everything's going to get darker as it moves out from that space. So if I have this light, all these land masses or whatever, these little just marshy land masses, they're going to have a lot more warmth or light there. Payne's Gray is a great little adjuster. I'm just going to go ahead and suggest this is, I can always add another landmass. It's like a little, how marshes have little, almost like little islands in them. And as it comes forward, I'm going to get a little bit greener. And I really should have some sap. I kind of have to feel like I need my sap green. I'm going to pull a little bit of that down. So I'm adding sap green to the palette. Again, this is just the very early stages. I'll explain more as I go. At this stage, it's really not that important. So I'm just going to play with some of my compositional elements. I'm just going to create again, I'm being very, very loose. I'm not seeing enough of that color I want. Yeah. I think I'm going to have to add some ultramarine, but I can do some of that tomorrow. Maybe a little bit of cobalt to it. Let's see if that does it for me. A little bit better. So even now, I'm sort of squinty. And I can use the side of my brush if I need it to be a little bit more narrow. Almost like I'm creating the base of these little I want to play with reflections, so I'll mess with that later. I don't want to dirty up my see, I don't want to get into that, so I'll just leave it alone. And I'll come back tomorrow and look at this, and I may feel differently about how I'm laying everything in. It's so early in the stage, I really don't even have to. I'm using mainly paint thinner. So this is very, I don't need it to be opaque yet. So I want to put that bird reflection in here in the water. It's kind of a neat opportunity. I'm not going to mess with this too much. I want to do some sky. I need more there. Clean paint there. Having a clean brush, maybe even between colors, is going to be actually quite important. And this is very thick, and I don't want it to be that thick yet. And I'm already not happy with my son. So we're not even going to talk about that yet. So I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to put a lot of my light colors in first and work around them. And so I am just taking a little bit of paint thinner. I'm going to go in with the lemon yellow. I'll actually put some more down because I think I need it where I want to put it down so it actually stands out and stays clean. Grabbing it on and I'm just taking a big brush. This happens to be a number 12 ivory filbert. And again, since I'm kind of leading the eye, how I do my clouds is kind of up to me. So I'm gonna, with a little bit of paint thinner, I'm gonna make this, I am just going to move around and lead the eye. I know that's really thin paint here. I'm probably gonna add some white to it. Since I'm working off an oil primed canvas, this is really doing nicely for me. Okay, what is she doing with this? I don't want a lot of paint yet, so I'm trying to thin it down a little bit. And I'm going to add some on this side too. Again, add a lot more paint thinner. And I can, play with how this kind of rolls up into the sky. Again, I'm going to try to make things that point, if that makes sense. So I'm going to suggest that there's going to be some other clouds and stuff, but if I have little pieces peeking out that maybe are pointing to the birds, that's kind of cool. And I'll, go ahead and put another one in here. Point it towards my bird. This is leading the eye. Grab a little titanium white while it's nice and clean and mix it in with that. Since it's already wet, it's going to be more creamy. Oh yeah, this is nice. And working on linen is always a nice departure from working on canvas all the time. Or wooden panels. I like all the surfaces for different reasons. But this is so fine and it just feels so nice. I think I'd love to go plein air in a marsh. I've been lucky enough to plein air at the beach before. Not too long. I mean, it's been over a year, but oh my gosh, that was so wonderful. Again, I've got lots of opportunity to, do nice forests and mountain scenes, but Tennessee doesn't have a lot of oceanfront property, so there's not a whole lot of opportunity to do that. Okay, so I'm just adding some titanium white to my lemon yellow. That's what I've got here. lemon yellow. Okay, and I know that looks really weird, but if I'm doing that, I'm gonna put some of that in the water too. And I may add some pinks to it. Whoops. I have to be really careful about picking up like some of these other colors. So I gotta keep it clean. Remember, I was gonna do some reflective stuff here, so. Keeping that simple. Now, the sky. All right, I'm cleaning my brush. So you gotta have a clean brush to keep everything really pure. Otherwise you start picking up muddy color, and you've heard me talk about playing with muddy color, and that is kind of fun, but not today. Today we are not having that kind of fun. So I'm taking titanium white, mixing a little cobalt blue in it. I will be adding some cerulean also, but right now just using some cobalt blue and going in around. Oh yeah, that looks good. So I can just, I'll be able to play with that a little bit. If I want to add more, I can use a paint scraper and add some more. But I'm trying to keep it clean, so if I run right into that yellow, I'll end up having a green sky, and I don't want that to happen. So you kind of have to have a little bit of a idea of what colors you're laying down next to other colors. So like if I want to go with purples on top of the blue, it's okay. It's going to make sense. It's going to be okay, but and sometimes, you know, you might want a little bit of green in your sky. Anytime you've got blue and yellow together, you're probably going to get some of that anyway. Oops, let's add a little bit of white to that. So I'm just going to kind of move around this. So it's almost a little bit. So I'll be adding some purples and oh, it feels really nice. Putting this in here like that. I'm going to switch it, add a little bit more cerulean to the color, which is cobalt and titanium white, and I'm pulling that in over to this side. So you can see I've got a little bit of a temperature shift. Cobalt being neutral and cerulean being a little warmer. So you kind of can really see that little blend right through here. Skies, they can be complicated. So I'm going to grab a little bit more cerulean and white, titanium white and cerulean, and pull it in on this side. Oh, a little bit more cerulean. It's got to be even warmer. Remember, I'm just blocking it in, getting my ideas, color mapping, if you will, just trying to figure out where everything's going to go. And as you get closer to the horizon line, that blue gets lighter and lighter. So I'll be lightening some of that up. I've got too big a brush. I'm going to add some purples in this sky. I could start at the horizon line and add some pinks first. Maybe that's what I'll do, and then work my way up to the purple. So I'm cleaning my brush, because you know, clean brushes. And I'm trying to get, you know what, I'm just gonna switch brushes, because why challenge it? So I want to make a pink. So I'm gonna use a lot of titanium white and a little bit of that rose madder. You know, I think it needs to be a little bit, I'm gonna grab a tiny bit of, yeah, that's it. Just a little bit of Yellow Lake Deep. It makes it a little bit of a warmer pink. So I'm going, oh yeah, it's like peachy. I'm just gonna go right close to the tree line. I don't wanna go to the trees, because I may change those trees. Of course I will, because I'll want to blend up into that pink. But I'm going to run some of that close to the bird. And that pink may not be everywhere, but kind of, and I'm trying to get not too close to the bird because I don't want to pick up the charcoal. I'm going to add a little bit more titanium white to this color. A little bit paint thinner, because remember, we're not trying to, I don't need it in pasta yet. So I'm cleaning my brush off and just going up near some of the yellows. So some of these are just maybe hue shifts or temperature shifts in some cases. The values may be very close to each other. And again, remember, most of this is just kind of, I have several references, but it's a lot of it is coming from my mind. So there's no rule here on where I put things, other than I'm wanting it to lead the eye. That's the important part. So just like I had all these yellows kind of pointing towards the birds in a way, I may go in and do some very similar aspects like that with the pinks, make it more like a supporting. And I'm going to go in with that amethyst color. And I'm not even cleaning my brush. I'm going to add a little tiny bit of Payne's Gray to that amethyst color, and kind of go, let's see if this one, that might be a little bit whiter, but the Payne's Gray just tones it down a little bit. Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm talking about. And again, I'm just going to go up pretty close to my trees without getting in my trees, because I sure don't want to mess up my color. Yeah. So this is me playing with color. Here I have yellow and purple together. Ooh, was that by accident? Not really. I'm playing with that pink and I'm pulling it into it and almost blending it away where you don't see where the transition is. And remember, I can go back later if I need to have some support, like, how do I say it? Oops, let's change brushes. Say I want another yellow mass or something, I can go back in when it's dry and change it up a little bit. But where this pink is, I'm gonna add a little bit more. Oh, that's got green in it. Let's clean that brush. I thought it was. So this is why it's so important. Make sure your brushes are clean, or use lots of brushes. So I'm taking the Yellow Lake Deep. I'm going to kind of pull some of that. That's a little too much. I'm going to add some white to it. Yeah, that's it. Into this color because we're closer to the sun. I'm wiping my brush off because I don't need to pull that much color in. And now I'm just slightly blending it. And it's so fun to build color like this next to each other. And I'm going to take the have yellow, and I'm going to add more white to it. Yeah, it's not doing what I want it to do. I'm really going to have to let some of it. So when you start messing with colors like this, it just gets crazy. And I don't want it, I want it to be subtle, and I'm not getting the subtlety I want. So some of this won't probably happen until I'm trying to get some of the impasto out. I do not want it to have that in the background. Put just plain. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try something. I'm not really happy with my own sun. I'm just going to try to get my paint scraper and scrape some of that off. I've got so many paint scrapers laying around, and I can't find one that's not like new. There we go. Nope, still not a new one. Let's see if it will at least do what I need it to do. Really. Let's go in with titanium white. Yeah. And it all started with the fact that I shouldn't have used charcoal on this one. All right, I'm trying to knock down any of the impasto. We'll deal with that later. All right, I'm gonna leave it alone, not worry about it right now. I'm gonna go in with, since I have this small brush, kind of go up close to the sun. And a lot of this, you know, the purple may fix itself here. Meaning it, against the, you know, the colors may actually look a little bit more accurate the closer I get to the sun, because I'm gonna have the contrast of the complementary colors. So we're going to just do that and right up to it. And I always have a rag in my hand so that I can wipe my brush off, because like we like clean brushes, and we like, all right, I don't want to get too nuts here because I know I'm going to change my terrain back here. So it's better not to risk your color. You don't want to muddy it up. So what I'm trying to do is go around things. Okay. I'm going to suggest here that we have take this purple, the amethyst, with a little bit of Payne's gray. I'm going to use a little bit of the rose madder. Payne's gray. All right, so I'm going to, I don't know if that might be right. Doesn't matter, Sue. Let's go ahead and use paint thinner. Just gonna kind of fill in where I think, because remember, I wanted the yellow to be directing the show, so to speak. I may actually pull this up into this area. I don't know. And sometimes, you know, you're gonna have little holes like that. You can create little holes. I'm going to pull this, since my birds, they will be cool, but they'll be darker, I think. Since I'm just making this up, I guess I can make them however I want them to. And I don't have to use a lot of paint. I've not even re-dipped. I'm just moving this around because I'm trying to establish the very beginnings of a painting can be very loose and free at first until I tighten it up and figure out where everything is going. I probably might put some more yellows in there, just little cracks of yellow, so leave some space. You see I'm kind of working around my birds here. What have I done? Oh, I got it. I'm gonna lighten that up, going in a little bit lighter underneath this area. Remember, I've got to keep reminding myself that I do not want it to be impasto. I need to just loosen this up. And sometimes where I need it to be wet, it really does need to be wet. And remember, shapes, clouds and things, it's usually not level and flat, and so I gotta shake up my shapes a little bit. And I can go back in later and put some stuff in, but what I'm gonna try to do is make my transition here to the pink a little bit softer. So I'm just kind of blending it down like this, and it's doing really nicely. I like that transition. And let's just make this have a little bit of an interesting shape. Again, pointing to my birds. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of the pink in here. I mean the purple in top of some of this pink. It's a little too pink here. Remember, the sun is low in the sky, so just know you gotta kind of be consistent here. Yeah, that looks nice. So it'll be nice and wet when I come in the morning, so I'll still be able to do some but I'm trying to make sure there is no impasto lines on this, and I do. See right here, there is, but I was trying to be really careful about not muddying up my colors. So it should be fine in the morning. All right, I was gonna put some more. I'm gonna grab this color, the amethyst color. I'm gonna put a bit of raw umber in it. I know that sounds strange, but up here, I want these clouds to be a little bit. Yeah, see, I've got a lot of cobalt down, so that's why I'll put a little bit more of I'm gonna take a little rose madder and raw umber. So I've got this, that's too much. Yeah, that's good. I'm leaving some of that blue. Remember, Sue, don't make it impasto. I may actually backlight some of these clouds a little bit since we do have the light coming from underneath. Maybe I'll remember that tomorrow, huh? I'm wanting this to be very loose and easy painting for me. I've been so, every now and then I gotta have a break for my brain, and this makes it fun for me. Often, all painting is fun for me, but sometimes I need a mental break from what I usually do. All right, I'm putting a little bit more dioxazine purple in this, a little bit more umber on the interior parts of this. It still needs to be darker. Well, I'll fool with it tomorrow. I just need to get no impasto paint here. So I'm just trying to knock it down, making sure that nothing is sticking up here. I hope that I come in tomorrow and love this and don't go, what the hell was I thinking? Because you know, that's happened before too. It happens sometimes. All right, going back in with the purples here. And I'm just like I did earlier, I have this down here. I'm gonna just lightly, that's not right. I'm gonna change modes. I'm gonna take the King's Blue and the amethyst color. I'm bluing it up just a tiny bit. Put a little bit of cobalt and King's Blue in with the amethyst color and kind of paint around here. Just kind of loosening it up, trying to keep my colors clean. So I keep flipping back and forth because I want to be able to leave today and have something almost on every surface here. And I would suggest that there's a little bit of light here. I can always add more plants, you know, the little islands, if you will, but I'm just kind of playing. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of the purples in here. And you know what, folks? I'm not doing a lot of color blending. I am just almost using some of these colors straight out the tube. And not really. I mean, I am mixing, but, you know, sometimes it is wonderful to just play. I'm playing today. Today's a play day. I didn't get to paint much today because I was doing other things, and you know, when I go with a day without painting, it's just really weird for me. Okay, and I got to remember where my birds are going, and I may just paint a little bit on the birds just to get them kind of established. Grabbing some of that really pretty pink. Pull it down here. Clean your brush, Sue. Clean your brush. Clean it. Clean it. So again, this is the Rose Madder Titanium White with just a hint of Yellow Lake Deep. A little bit more titanium white. Just kind of hitting it where I think this is going to go. Clean the brush, clean the brush. More titanium white. What to do. There's so much of the other stuff that has to happen here that hasn't happened. Let's see where I was putting this down. This needs to come down a little bit more. Just I'm not really wanting to put too much paint down, so I need it to remember what my direction of my paint is. Got a little impasto here, trying to calm that down a little bit. I know it looks like a big hot mess, but I already kind of feel where it's going and I feel pretty good about it. So that's good. there's so much, like I could put some. I'll see how I feel about it tomorrow, but right now, folks, I think I'm going to be done for today. Oh wait, I did want to put a little bit of paint down on the birds themselves, just so I have them. So let me get back to my bird references. This has me really concerned. It's too. I'll put some more other colors in. I just don't want it to be impasto. So I'll just kind of hug it out a little bit. Let's see, where's a bird? Okay, so I've got these birds just kind of chalked in here with fine charcoal, and I've got to set in the color. And since this is a low light situation, I really have to keep in mind that regardless of what references I'm using, I have to make sure that the lighting of the birds fits the mood here. But I'm here to tell you, I'm already kind of not digging these birds. I'm already feeling a little conflicted at this point, but I hadn't figured it out yet, and you'll see how this continues. So I pull off the birds for a while and just jump into the sky. And there's so much fun, color, and light in the sky that I'm having a ball. And you saw what my initial palette was. So I'm using a lot of fun colors. You can see the transition of the cobalt to the cerulean in the blue of the sky. And I'm using just these fun pinks and purples to do these dark clouds. The yellow clouds are mainly the lemon yellow, and I'm using cad yellow and white also, and just creating the yellow clouds. And you know what? This is fun. This is so much fun. I love playing with color like this. And the brush I'm actually using a little Eclipse round, just because I have that kind of control to do the small points of these clouds. And just, you know, I got this. You know, this is giving me the detail that I need.
Okay, now you can see I've already taken those birds out. It really was bugging me. So I am just popping in a new bird. And the reference that I have, the bird is bright white, and I know I have to really adjust for the color of the low light situation that a sunset creates. So I'm using a very large, this is a number 7 ivory round. And this brush is, it's got a really great point on it. So I'm able to just kind of map out where my bird's going. So you can see I'm not really sure. I'm just kind of suggesting where the bird's going to go. And you'll see, I'll actually get this bird formed in here. Keeping in mind that I do have a low light situation, I'm going to be adding a lot more purples and fun colors to this bird. So also kind of knowing where my light source is, that sunset, I do want to eventually put a lot of warm light and cast that on the front of the bird. So I'm trying to mix my color, and I know this is real time, and I'm just looking around and trying to figure out what to do here. And I use my hand often as a my other hand, my left hand, to secure my arm to keep it steady. And I'm just trying to do the different the primaries and secondary wing feathers of this bird, and just kind of popping them in here. I'm actually using titanium white with a little bit of King's Blue to kind of map out the lighter parts of my bird, and using the kind of more of the purples to do the undertones. And you can see this is a really fun color. Putting in purples and stuff in the bird, trust me, I will rework this bird a million times before I feel like I've gotten it. But I'm just getting in the structure and trying to get the feel and everything that needs to go into this bird. Meanwhile, I'm also working the background around the bird, so carving out pieces of the water, and I always have, my brain is always flying all over the place, because at this point I'm trying to work on knowing where my the temperature shifts, or where I'm going to get my contrast. I don't want values that are too close to each other, so I'm always playing on either side of the fence. So I'm putting some of the warm light that would be cast on the front of this bird with that sunset, with that low sun. I'm going to have a lot of warm light. So I'm still playing with my values. I'm still playing with my temperature. And I have to be really careful, because this is where you can get really muddy. And I'm actually struggling a little bit with this bird. but I'll eventually get it. And I'm just kind of playing off. I'm shaving off a little bit here, putting in a little bit more there. I am like really teeter-tottering on either side of the fence on this bird. But he definitely has a better feel than the birds I had before. I like him. I know I'm going to make this bird work. And sometimes you just got to get off the bird, you know? And I need to go ahead and fill in some of the background. And this actually gives my brain a little bit of a break. I'm really was struggling with this egret, and which is funny for me because usually birds are very easy for me. But for whatever reason, this one was a little bit of a struggle. But I want to create that... you know, you can see where I'm cutting in around the wing, therefore it immediately brings me the contrast that I desire in a lot of my works. So even if I have say I had a beautiful sunset photo of, you know, a marsh, but I can always change the grass to make it fit my composition. I can always change my placement of things to fit my you know, my whim. I mean, this is references. Remember, folks, are simply that, just references. The art comes from inside of you. So use your references. And, you know, like I said, I changed the grass around just to suit my bird so I can have that wing show out like that. But, yeah, we're getting close. And at this point, I am using a small brush. This is a little, this is a red dot round, but it's I think it's a number 0, believe it or not, a rosemary red dot round, and I'm doing the detail in the face. I'm having a lot of fun popping in all the warm light in the front of the bird and playing the yellows and warm colors against the purples and blues. That's fun for me. And so I'm feeling like this bird is finally coming together for me, and which is good because I'm here basically at the end of this painting, and finally I'm feeling pretty good about my bird selection here. But yeah, this is just a great example of how sometimes, yeah, I get frustrated with pieces a lot, and you eventually can work it out. And at this point, I'm just having fun. This, again, is mainly all about color and just trying something new. And I hope that you guys try something new too. And if you have any questions about anything, just let me know.
Might be finished. I say it might be finished because sometimes I live with a piece for a little while and kind of check it out later. I did a lot of reconstruction on the egret itself. If I go ahead and zoom in a little bit, let me see if I can. I wanted, because the references I had did not really depict the same kind of light source that I'm currently using. And since I wanted the warm light to fall on the front of the bird from the sunset, I had to kind of make some stuff up. I kind of got the basic structure from one reference, but kind of, no pun intended, winged it on the lighting of the bird. So I wanted to keep the bird pretty cool and have a lot of purples and blues, but kind of light him up with the heat of the sunset. So that was kind of my intention there. And since a lot of this is, I had some references, but not any one reference was I really completely following. So, I wanted to play with color. This was a color piece for me. And it also is an experiment because I do have a student that loves doing marsh scenes. She travels quite a bit to low country areas. And since she's my student, I figured I better do one or two before I pretend to be able to I'm not even coming close to considering myself an expert on this, but I thought if I'm instructing somebody on painting, I thought I should at least have one or two under my belt. So this was an experiment all around. I really do like how it turned out. Of course, you know me, I love color, and there you go. This is my little low country scene, a little marsh scene with a white egret. If you like today's video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. And yeah, if you have any questions about anything you saw in today's video, please do not hesitate. Let me know and just leave it in the comment section and I'll get to you. Okay, that's it.
And ain't color fun? I really did have fun painting or using some colors, using pinks and yellows and golds and purples. That part, that's a no-brainer for me. I love color. Dropping the horizon down and making this painting a little bit more about the sky. And I guess dropping the horizon down also helps create that low country feel because everything is pretty flat out in the marshlands. So I also, as you saw, I did change my overall composition where I initially started off with I had a bird over here and a smaller bird here, and it just seemed to be too busy with everything that was going on in the sky. The birds just were like, it just didn't have a good vibe to it. So I ended up taking out birds, putting in one larger bird, again, keeping my bird low in the horizon. I just didn't want to compete with what was going on up here. So you can see sometimes I do change as I go. I don't always have a completely mapped out piece in my mind, or even if I do, it doesn't mean it's going to be that way in the end. So I'll change things a little bit, and that's what we got. And I really had fun doing reflective light in the water, and being that this bird, the reference that I had for the bird, I had several references, and none of the references that I had were this type of coloring. They were more like bright direct light, not the low light that you would have at a sunset. So I did have to change, instead of making the bird a bright white, there's all kinds of pinks and purples. And then knowing that my light source was here, I wanted to go ahead and cast some warm light on the front of the bird. So
that was fun experimentation too. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you have any questions at all, whatever, please leave it in the comments section and I'll get to you. And if you have something you'd like to see, you know what, maybe you leave that in the comments section too, and I'll consider that. And subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And know that I do have a Patreon channel. I don't know that this one will make it to Patreon, as this one's already a really long video, but consider my Patreon channel too. And yeah, that's it. So from Kingsport, Tennessee, where we don't have a whole lot of low country, I want to say thank you for being here, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.